School's headquarters there. The president will also sign an executive order directing federal agencies to move forward on the Buy American themes, and will call for a review of the H-1B worker visa programs. Those were all cornerstones of the Trump presidential campaign. Joining us right now, Stephen Moore. He's a CNN economics analyst, a former senior economic advisor on the Trump campaign. Thanks very much, Stephen, for joining us. You support this Hire American, Buy American program because, you know, a lot of economists think it's a sort of a hidden tax on the middle class, the working class of America, because all sorts of products all of a sudden are going to be much more expensive.
Well, look, you know, there's a reason that Donald Trump is in Wisconsin today. That was a state that went for Trump, surprisingly. Trump does believe that he owes those Midwestern states, those industrial states. So the idea of look, you can take this too far, but the idea, look, if you got two offers at the same time, you know, do it with the American company, not the Chinese company or the Mexican company. I think it makes sense. By the way, the best way, I've told Donald Trump this many times, is the best way to get companies to buy America, reduce the taxes here, reduce the regulations. A lot of those companies will come back and create jobs. I do not agree with them on this cap on the H-1B visas. These are high-technology brainiacs who are needed in Silicon Valley. They're engineers, they're physicists, they're chemists, they're top of their profession. You know, when I talk to a lot of the employers around the country, they say, we can't get enough. You know, we need the people who are really smart and brilliant. By the way, this actually ends up creating more jobs for Americans than when they can't get the workers they need.
So if the order goes out to federal agencies to buy American, but what if the cost is so much more expensive to buy American steel, for example, than to buy steel from another country? Well, that's going to simply raise the deficit.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's why you can take this too far. You know, look, if it's within 5 or 10% of the cost, maybe you want to buy the American. But you're right. If something can be produced in another country for 30 or 40% less, then who's going to bear the burden of that higher cost? It's the American tax. You're right. So I think you can take Buy America too far. But I do think, given the fact that we have so many Americans that are unemployed and a lot of factories that are closing down, this is a way to save American jobs potentially.
And if you go a step too far with the Buy American only, if you will, a lot of middle-class families, working-class families, they're going to go to Walmart, they're going to buy school supplies for their kids, but if it has to be made in the United States, it's going to be a lot more expensive than if it's imported from another country where it can be made a lot cheaper.
Well, but I don't think that's what Donald Trump is talking about here.
He's not talking about that. I'm just talking about the Buy American, Hire American. That whole theme, if it goes forward, it could wind up being a lot more expensive.
It could mean higher prices to people, no question about it.
If you're buying clothes for your kids, for example, if you're only going to buy clothes for your kids made in America, which is a nice thing to say, obviously, but it's going to be more expensive.
It is, but, you know, I believe that's every American's choice. I try to buy American. You know, if it's a choice.
But you can afford it. A lot of families
but I'm just saying,
can't necessarily
but a lot of Americans think, you know, if it's a choice between, you know, and they're both, you know, priced near each other, you know, a lot of people do think, well, I want to help the American worker, not the worker in India or something like that. But my point is, let's let every American make that decision, not the government tell you. That's why I'm not in favor of tariffs on imports. I mean, that would make
that's a hidden tax.
Of course it is. And who's going to bear the burden of that? The consumers. And that you're right. You get an A in economics because that's actually a regressive tax on the lowest income.
So why do a lot of Republicans like that hidden that tariff that's going to make imported goods more expensive for working families?
Because they think it's a way to save jobs. And, you know, in some cases it might be. We're going to have a big debate in the weeks and months ahead about this sort of idea of a border adjustable tax.
Do you support that?
You know, I like the idea of taxing what we import and not taxing what we produce in America, because all in all, I want to see more jobs created in the United States. But it has to be done right. I don't like the Paul Ryan plan too much.
You gave me an A in economics?
You got it. I'm impressed.
Better than I did in college. All right,
for
thanks.
A foreign policy guy?
Yeah.
Well done.
Stephen Moore, thanks very much. That's it for me. We're waiting